welcome back to the Deadology Podcast from Pencil Hill Studio, New Paltz, New York. I'm your host, Howard Weiner, and today is Season 2, Episode 7 of the podcast. This is February 14th, Valentine's Day 2024, and we have a great show to discuss tonight. This is going to be Jerry Garcia Band, February 17th, 1980, Miracle by the Lake. By the way, February is Jerry Garcia Band month, so we got a couple more weeks of all Jerry Band, Jerry Acoustic, and some cool stuff to look forward to, but this show is huge. Definitely take up the whole podcast, one of the longer epic shows of Jerry Garcia Band history, a show which I ranked 4th in my book, Positively Garcia, Reflections of the JGB. It's that good of a show, folks. And February 1980 was a memorable month for both the Jerry Garcia Band and the United States Olympic hockey team. The night before, Jerry played in Laker Hall on the campus of Oswego University. The U.S. hockey team beat Czechoslovakia 7-3 in the Olympics. And that's really where the miracle on ice begins. Czechoslovakia was considered by most to be the second best team in the tournament, the only team that could really give the Russians a run for their money. And when the United States beat them 7-3, they kind of destroyed them, which was a huge surprise. That's kind of where the dream of the miracle was born. Nobody thought they would win, but at least people could dream that they would give them a game, and there was the smallest chance maybe they would pull off the upset, which obviously they pulled off that miracle. And on tonight's episode, we got more of the interview with Azie Allers, who was in the band, the Jerry Garcia Band in 1980, obviously the keyboardist at this show, and great audio highlights from the show. And on an earlier episode of the Deadology Podcast, we took a look at King College, the early and late show from 1980. Great show, but this Oswego show is so big, it's better than that. Especially you're not comparing apples to apples. It's one show versus an early and late show. So for one show, it's an incredible night in Oswego, and a couple other great shows I want to point out from February 1980, just to put this in proper perspective of how many awesome shows there are and why this is such a great month in JGB history. The awesome shows, February 12th at the Leisner Auditorium, that's Washington, D.C. February 15th, played a great early and late show in the Orpheum Theater, Boston. They did the Oswego show on the 17th here. UMass on February 20th. Really good show. The recordings from that particular night aren't spectacular, but oh my God, that Sugaree that opens up the second set of UMass. You got to check that one out. Just the best, the third jam of that is the best one you're ever going to hear. And two other, I mentioned King College already, and to close out this tour, they played the Calderone Theater on February 29th, and the Capitol Theater on the first day of March. But it's still part of this tour, part of the February 80 tour. All spectacular. There were other shows, but I think these are the very best from that tour. And the king of them all is Oswego. On February 17th, it was 16 degrees in Oswego at showtime with a 20-mile-per-hour wind off of the lake. You can find out some amazing facts when you look on the internet to find out the actual temperature on a day in 1980. But Oswego is usually very cold and very windy at this time of year. I spent a couple weeks in Oswego many years ago. They got that huge nuclear power plant, 9 Mile, just kind of hovering over the lake there. Kind of an ominous presence. Besides that, it's a beautiful little town with a lot of bars and a great college. So on this night, February 17th, Robert Hunter, for the first time on this tour, opened up for the Jerry Garcia Band. Later in the tour, he would come out and do a couple tunes with Jerry and the boys. It was great to hear Hunter play with the band. It must have been awesome to see the opening set, an acoustic Robert Hunter set to set things up for Jerry. And Jerry opens up with his mission statement: I'll take a melody and see what I can do about it. Take a simple C to G and feel brand new about it. What a great, you would think Hunter wrote that for Jerry, but obviously it's an Alan Toussaint song, but just a great opener. It's that one, probably my favorite opener. I enjoyed it a little more than How Sweet It Is. It's just the beautiful ballad component of it, and then those great little shifts in time. Very cool tune, great opener on this night. Then they go for a much desirable second song, Friend of the Devil. And unfortunately, this very unusual that they kind of laid an egg on this Friend of the Devil. It was just off. Jerry's singing was off a little bit. He missed the lyric. The jam didn't end at the right point. It's bizarre, usually it would be like the Grateful Dead were playing so many fantastic Friend of the Devils at this time. It was kind of surprising that they botched this one, especially on what would go on to be one of the greatest shows ever that Jerry Garcia band played. But the Devil is, was a little bit botched. So they kind of hit the reset button and they did a normal 2-song opener. How Sweet It Is, Catfish John, their usual 1-2 opener. And it sounds pretty good here, but there's one more distraction. This show really takes off after the first 4 songs. But on the tape, all we have is audience tapes of this. You could hear this one numbnut just screaming, sit down. You hear him screaming like 10 times during How Sweet It Is. He screams it like 15 times during Catfish John. Obviously, it wasn't having the proper effect. That type of thing is not going to go over good in any kind of Garcia band, Grateful Dead crowd. So nobody sat down, but the freaking guy ruined part of the tape. It definitely very loud. He's screaming, sit down, repeatedly. A mental case. But so besides that, you got some cuts in the tape. The Catfish is cooking pretty good, and the guitar jam gets cut. Not sure what happens. Obviously, a taping issue. From this point forward, the tape is perfect. It's been an incredible, very good audience recording. And but the first 4 songs, you just couldn't imagine listening to this on tape or even being there in person, how this show would just take off to be such a brilliant show. But the transformative song of the night is when they go into the 5th song, Deal. And great middle jam on it. And this configuration, the Jerry Garcia band, was obviously Jerry, Con, Johnny DeFoncessa on drums, and Azie Allers on keyboard. With this group, for the first time, they did a second jam in the Deal where they do the middle jam, and then they do that like what ended up becoming like the blockbuster showcase jam at the end. Not quite as long as it would be in the future here, but it got the crowd excited, and you could just feel the band and the place. Everybody is like going nuts during this Deal. It just turned up. The excitement was right there. Everything was in place for the night to take off, and obviously Deal would mature into one of the show-stopping first set ender for both the Jerry Garcia band and the Grateful Dead in the years to come. So that the whole show changes right here. From this point forward, you're not going to find a better Jerry Garcia band show anywhere. Song number 6 is a gem. I was going to say Positively Garcia, the name of my book. Positively 4th Street, the awesome Bob Dylan song. And Jerry just does an incredible version here. Dylan very much dug this song. He loved the way Jerry played it. He very much approved of the way he did it on the Keystone recording from '73. And just when I was listening to Keystone, it was obviously one of the first albums most of us would have from the Jerry Garcia band. Just that Positively 4th Street just jumps out at you. And it's very cool and everything, but these ones from 1980, just the jamming is much longer and it's so intense. These are great versions. And after this tour, they stopped playing Positively 4th Street for like 10 years, and then until Jerry Garcia band brought it back. but obviously the peak of Positively 4th Street or any of these 1980 versions. They're incredible. I think the very best one is from the Keystone, December 21st, 79. But this Oswego one is one of the best. And Jerry had a very interesting comment on Positively 4th Street. I'm going to read that to you, and then we're going to hear a little bit of this version from Oswego. Jerry said, "It was the beautiful sound of Positively 4th Street that got to me more than the bitterness of the lyric. The combination of the beauty and the bitterness, to me, is wonderful. It's like a combination of something being funny and horrible. It's a great combination of two odd ingredients in the human experience."
Well, you know as well as me, you'd rather see me paralyzed. Why don't you just come out once screaming?
Some yearning, burning guitar work from Jerry Garcia and some heartfelt, heartbroken vocals. The Oswego Positively 4th Street. And it's amazing what Jerry had to say about that 4th Street and the way he interpreted it as opposed to Dylan. I mean, Dylan's version is just, it's brilliant the way he did it, because if Dylan didn't put that to like a nice melody, it would have came off as too vicious, too angry, too finger pointing. So there's almost a comical, as Garcia nailed it, he said, it's a combination of something being funny and horrible. It's a great combination of two ingredients in the human experience. And so Dylan's version that does that, man. It just has that. There's really nothing like it. And the organ playing by Dylan on that, just such one of a kind song. There's nothing like it. But Garcia took it in a different vein. Took it a little more serious, man. You just want to go up there and hug Jerry and tell him everything's going to be all right, man, because it's really heartbreaking the way he performs that, but it's brilliant. And so 4th Street, I mean, at this point, the show is really taken off. Oswego is in heaven, man. And Garcia Band, just, they know they're on top of the world right now. Everything's in the right motion. They close out the first set with That's All Right, Mama. And at this point, when you hear how the band rocks on this version, it's incredible. That's All Right Mama usually delivers the goods, and this version is no exception. Garcia and company just rip on this awesome ending to the first set. And there's also like a symmetry to the show as we move into the second set. I mean, from this point forward, there's not a weak link or even anything like that. It's just all brilliance moving forward. Hey, by the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning, I want to thank my friend Larry Gindorf for suggesting that I do this. I think it was going to be on my itinerary to do for the Garcia Band month. But Larry said, why don't you do this show? And I was like, yeah. And I went back and I hadn't heard the show in years because, once again, as I usually mention when I'm doing a Garcia Band show, it's not as easily accessible as Grateful Dead shows. So it's definitely nice to go back and listen to this, man. I was kind of blown away when I heard this again. I knew I would be, but I hadn't heard it in many years. Such a great show. And set 2 opens with Money Honey. And this is where the symmetry comes in, because they end the first set with That's All Right Mama, a song made famous by Elvis. And Money Honey was a big hit for Elvis as well. So you got Elvis closing the first set, opening the second set. You got a couple of Hunter a couple of Hunter songs in there, Deal and Friend of the Devil in the first set. So there's going to be a couple more pairings coming up here, but there's a beautiful symmetry as to this show as well. So Money Honey opens, and these are songs which are definitely, trademark 1980 Garcia Band songs. They're also from earlier, the Keystone days, 72, 73. But these are songs that you wouldn't hear again till late 90s if you heard them at all. So 1980 definitely is, a banner moment for playing the best versions of these songs. Awesome version of Money Honey. Jerry's just, reliving. This is the Jerry jukebox, what he listened to, what he loved. And he's putting the microscope to it, jamming and savoring it, and giving it to future generations so we could savor those songs. And how much, as Grateful Dead fans, how much did we learn about the world of music from Garcia Band and Dead, the songs they did, the covers they did. So great Money Honey to open the second set. And then we're going to go into the world of Jimmy Cliff, Sitting Here in Limbo. And just another great interpretation by Garcia here. Sitting Here in Limbo, the Jimmy Cliff version's awesome, but it's a thing where Jerry finds these songs, the genius of what he does. He finds the songs that he likes, and then he takes it and turns like a 4 minute song into 12 minutes and 13, 14 minutes on different nights, and just extends it because he doesn't want to let go of the song, This little boy is moving on, all the great lines and Sitting Here in Limbo. Garcia just has a way of framing it that really sticks with you. It sticks with you when you hear the Jimmy Cliff version, but in a different way when Jerry's there, because it's just that line. He just has a way of magnifying it and getting the most out of these songs. So this is a great version, and there's really a shrieking, awesome guitar solo, very hot for Sitting Here in Limbo as well. And, just when they go into that bridge, I don't know what life will show me, but I know what I've seen. I can't see where life will lead me, but I know where I've been. Try my hand at love and friendship, but all that is past and gone. This little boy is moving on. Sitting Here in Limbo. Just an awesome song, but definitely it slowed things down, a nice ballad. And from this point forward in the second set, it's insanity. Some of the hottest rock and roll you will ever hear from the Jerry Garcia Band or any other band. Next up on the Jerry Jukebox is one of his all-time favorites, Let It Rock. And man, this, in the words of the immortal Robert Johnson, is the stuff that we got will bust your brains out. Just some incredible screaming rock and roll here from the Jerry Garcia Band. As hot a jam as you will hear in any Let It Rock. The first solo is nice. Garcia hands off to Azie Allers, good jam, but this second solo is nuts. So let's check it out. Let It Rock, Oswego.
Got an all-step train coming to my town.
The Jerry Garcia band, sweating and shredding, pounding one out for the working man with a steel jackhammer. What a lead of rock. Oswego was blessed on this night. Just, it's amazing how these things just, a great show will just materialize out of nowhere after kind of a lackluster, butchered start through the first four songs of this evening. Oh, that might be a little tough, but it was nothing more than an average show after the first four songs, and then it just took off like crazy, this show. And it doesn't stop here. After that amazing Let It Rock, there's only one thing that the Jerry Garcia band could pull out of their hat that would top what they just did, and that was After Midnight, Eleanor Rigby, After Midnight, which is what they end this second set with. And this is definitely the thing that makes February 1980 special in Jerry Garcia band history. This is the masterpiece of the Jerry Garcia band. There's nothing even I don't know what else I could put in the same category as this. Don't Let Go is cool, and there's a whole bunch of great songs, but just this combination is unbelievable. And what they do here in Oswego, this is the best one. The one from the King College, which is obviously available on the After Midnight CD. I talked about this on an earlier episode. Very cool version. The After Midnight reprise on that is the best. But everything else, this Oswego version, the opening After Midnight before the Eleanor Rigby, going into the Eleanor Rigby, definitely the best one that they ever did. It's insane. Eleanor Rigby, easily the best Rigby, the longest. They jam well after it. And then it's a very strong After Midnight reprise there. The Leisner version's good from February 12th. And there's also a very good one, really good one from the Keystone. I forget if it's either the 7th or the 8th. I think it's the 8th of March. But this comes in at number one on my rating thing, the Oswego After Midnight, Eleanor Rigby After Midnight. And we're going to hear a nice chunk of that Rigby. It's so amazing. But before we hear that, I did an interview with Azie Allers many years ago, and he talks about, which fits perfectly here. In the interview, he mentioned how they came about doing Eleanor Rigby. So this is Ozzie from a few years back, an interview I conducted for my book, Positively Garcia. And then we'll hear the Rigby from Oswego.
Allude to the Eleanor Rigby that came up. That's definitely Con. He loved, he was a jazz buff, jazz and rhythm and blues buff, and he would love to do what the jazz guys did, and that would be bring in a pop song and throw it into the middle of a tune and just allude to that for a while. Number 4, early in the tour, the band flirted with it. There it is, Eleanor Rigby, before it became a full-blown instrumental in the middle of After Midnight. Yes, it was discussed. Yes, it was touched, because Jerry would play the line, John would fall in behind the line, and as a keyboard player, might do the Beatles part. Then, which was didn't have a keyboard in it because it was pretty much all string quartet, but we all went through the motions of it, and yeah, it really became kind of exciting in the middle, and everybody dug it. It was a jazz moment. We all joked about that, how jazz players, we certainly weren't jazz players. We were rock and folk players, but we joked about how it was going to be done. And then, of course, a double time, that just happened. That was just like Jerry just decided, sorry, I'm tired of waiting for these, he went right into the jazz tempo of it. So, yeah, he was really cool. Let's see, we rehearsed that one. Yeah, it became...
phenomenal improvisation there from Jerry and folks. Wow. Just the excess jamming on that Rigby, unlike any other version. They were just on fire in Oswego on this night, going from the soulful reggae to the heavy rock into the kind of jazz moment, as Azie Allers called it. Definitely very jazzy there. The Rigby, it's a shame they didn't continue on with the After Midnight Eleanor Rigby's, or they didn't even play the After Midnight that much after 1980. When I listen to this Oswego show and a lot of these 80s shows, I missed the great year by a year. I started seeing Jerry Garcia Band in 81. I never saw Money Honey. I never saw Positively 4th Street. And I certainly never saw the After Midnight Rigby Midnight Man. And very awesome reprise after the Rigby to close out the second set at Oswego. If you want to hear that version, the Rigby Midnight, I have it up on my YouTube page, and also the Facebook Deadology Facebook group. If you want to join that, join the group. You could post whatever you want on there, comment on the show, put in your 2 cents, suggest future episodes. Facebook Deadology Podcast. We got a group out there, and so the second set ends here in Oswego. And a lot of great Garcia shows. When he would do a solo show, if it was 2 sets, a lot of times he'd split without an encore. If he's doing an early and late show, usually you always got the encore. Like a Music Mountain is an example of a great show where they did a 2-set show, no encore. But on this night, Jerry was in no rush to go anywhere. It was like, he was just digging the Oswego vibe in Laker Hall. So he comes out for an encore, and the symmetry comes back into play. First song for the encore, It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry, the Dylan classic. And I was reminded when I listened to this for the podcast, it's a beautiful, slow version, obviously electric, but just, nice, slow version. It kind of caught me by surprise compared to some of the earlier versions. And pretty long too. In the encore slot, usually, you Grateful Dead, Garcia Band, you try to get out of there in 6-7 minutes. Midnight Moonlight, 6 minutes. Everybody's dancing. See you later. You got your money's worth. We're happy. Blah blah blah. And no such thing in Oswego this night. You almost get like a mini set here at the end. And it's a 3 CD show. This Oswego. One show took up 3 CDs, so it had the length of an entire Grateful Dead show. That's how much the Gar band put into it on this night. So you got this cool version, slow version. There are no rush to leave. Takes a lot to laugh, and then they follow up with Harder They Come, and that's not a short song either, man. It's the Jimmy Cliff number. So it doesn't have that crazy funky vibe of the Melvin Seal years that would come, or the Merle Saunders version. It's kind of cool. It's different. It almost has like a kind of Russian folky vibe. For this particular configuration of the Garcia Band, Jerry had to do a lot. He had to fill a lot of spaces because they didn't have as many people. They didn't have the background singers. And he definitely carried the load, and that's one of the things that makes it so great. There's so much Jerry filling so many spots in here. It's a cool version of Harder They Come, even though I definitely prefer the funkier, more soulful versions in the future to come with Melvin Seals. But once again, another 2 long songs for an encore. You never get that anywhere. Even with the Grateful Dead, they do if he caught a long song, there would be a short one after on a double encore. But Jerry does like another 25-30 minutes here for the encore, which is crazy. It just put the topping on what was already an awesome show, and I ranked it 4th in my book, Positively Garcia: Reflections of the JGB, 1972 to 1984. I focused on those years, and that book's available on my website, Tangled Up in Tunes, as well as Amazon, where all my other books are. And hey, that wraps up another episode of the Deadology podcast. Jerry month. It's a real treat for me to go back and dig into these shows, and hopefully everybody else is out there is enjoying it. I got some more great Jerry for next week. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to do with that man. I'm thinking Roseland '83, man. That's been much on my mind. Two of the best shows back to back. That whole '83 tour. I'm definitely going to do something from that month. And I know a lot of you guys, gals out there went to those Roseland shows. Very memorable times, and some of the best shows. For me, that was the best week I ever saw in Jerry Garcia band history. Was the week they played the Roseland. They played Cape Cod before that. They did the Bushnell. They played in the Chance, just such a memorable week. So we're going to take a look at that next week. Everybody, thanks for listening. Once again, any suggestions, email me, catfishgarcia82@yahoo.com, or, YouTube, or the Facebook Deadology podcast group. Man, it's a pleasure doing this. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Speak to you next week. Peace out.